There's been something I've been working on with my therapist for a very long time, and that is, of course, the guilt and the shame that both you and I feel as victims of a narcissist. Let me go over a couple of those that personally have affected me and see if they make sense or if they ring a bell with what you feel. The first one I want to go over is the things that I had to do to survive, I feel guilty about. Now, while I'll relate this to a childhood experience, it's equally applicable to those of you with significant others as narcissists. I did things as a child. I had to do things as a child in order to survive, in order to protect myself. And I mean that quite frankly. I had to do things to protect myself. Some examples would be even before I permanently moved out of the house at age 15, when I was 14 years old, when I was 13 years old, I would run away during some evenings to a friend's house because I simply couldn't tolerate, I couldn't stand the abusive tactics that were being placed upon me. Now, I didn't know at the time that it was abuse. All I knew is I didn't want this around me anymore. So what did I do? I retreated to a friend's house. I stayed overnight. I wouldn't call. And what happens? Even to this day, throughout the years, I felt guilty about that. I felt because I was told, because it was compounded into me, that I was a bad child for doing that. I was a rotten kid. I was a sick little bastard. So what happens is my mind, again, even to this day, goes back to those times where I ran away from home for my own protection. I must have been a bad child. I must have been no good. I must have been exactly what the narcissist was telling me I always was. I fit right into that narrative. And all I was trying to do was survive. And again, I didn't even recognize at the time that that was survival. All I knew is I didn't want it to happen to me anymore. Now, I have to imagine those of you with friends or significant others, relationships that have narcissists in them. You may be feeling this guilt as well. You may be wanting to tell somebody and having to share, and you may feel guilty about that. You may have had to call the police, and you may have feel guilty about that. You may have wanted to tell somebody of the abuses that you're experiencing. You may have wanted to tell your friends, your common friends, of what was going on in the household, and you may be feeling guilty upon that. Well, don't. Stop that guilt feeling. What that guilt feeling is that voice in the head that the narcissist is telling you constantly over and over again that you're wrong, that you're the problem, that you're the bad person. And you're not. You do what you have to do to survive in an unspeakable, unimaginable relationship. Still to this day, I'll go back and I'll think, I must have been a bad kid. I must have been what the narcissist was telling me I was all along. That stays with you forever. But it slowly gets better, second by second, minute by minute. These feelings of guilt used to be overwhelming for me, even though they happened decades earlier. I can go on and on and on about my experiences as a child and how I feel guilty about wanting to survive then. Number two, you're going to feel those aha moments those, that's what that was, moments. And you're going to place the guilt on yourself. You are going to feel guilty because you didn't recognize it at the time. You're going to question yourself and ask, why didn't I see that for what it was? Why didn't I stand up for myself? Why didn't I protect myself? Why didn't I push back? Stop feeling that. Okay? And if you know me on my channel for many years, feelings are important, but this is one that I'm going to ask you to look at and recognize for what it really simply is. You were doing what you needed to do to get help, to get some validation, to tell somebody that you were being abused. You were doing this to survive by any mechanism that you knew. And you're going to constantly go back and say, why didn't I? Why didn't I go no contact then? Why didn't I tell somebody else then? Why didn't I call the police then? The reason why is because that narcissist has you feeling such self-worth, such gaslighting ability that you don't even know what's going on. So don't look back. Please don't look back and think that you were the one to blame and that you should feel guilty because you were the bad partner. That is a seed that is planted in your head from the narcissist from almost day one. Recognize it for what it is, compartmentalize it, put it off to the side, acknowledge it, and move on. Survivor's guilt is what I'm finding out to be is a boat anchor around your neck. It's not deserved. It's your narcissist still standing on your shoulder, whispering in your ear that you have no worth, that you are in fact exactly what they told you you are. And it's untrue, it's a lie, it's a sick manipulation. Please look back and think about that. Look back to what that truly was. That was only you, whether it be as a child or whether it be as an adult, wanting peace, wanting stability, wanting good mental health, without even knowing you wanted those things, but taking actions to ensure you had those basic human rights. Please have peace in the acknowledgement that survival skills are just that. You do what you have to do to survive. And that was not your fault. And you have no reason to have that guilt. Thank you.